नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So thank you all very much for joining today's session. So today hopefully we will be completing our long discussion on this sixth verse of Manah Siksha, which speaks about the anarthas of duplicity, pretense, and hypocrisy. You know, how it stunts the progress of sadhaka and how we can overcome this anartha is described in a very graphic way by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. And last many days, last many weeks, we have been discussing from the commentary of Srila Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj. Today we have one last part of it, and then we have a small commentary by Srimati Urmila Mataji also. So I think Krishna willing, we have a good chance that we may complete the verse today and then move ahead to the seventh verse from next week onwards. So I'll pass on the mic to Radha Pramod Prabhu, who will do a recap of what we have seen till now, and then we will start today's discussion. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Over to you, Prabhu.
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. So we'll just recap from last 2 weeks so that we'll get much more clear idea, because Maharaj is giving very nice understanding. So before this session also, this is, I think we have from last 5-6 weeks we are doing. So before this, what we are seeing in the chart, before this Maharaj tells there are two ways of dealing with the mind. One is you hide it and you face it. And then mind also gives different ways of cheating. Like the Apsaras also come, nice ideas while chanting, all these things that are discussed. Now in this, Maharaj is telling the role of mind in cheating. So it comes in a harmless way. That's how Arjuna got an, how Yudhishthir Maharaj, Arjuna, they were also getting good ideas, but they are not. That is also a type of cheating. And then how Hanuman was trying to deceive and how he could not recognize the Lord. So that was the section. So here Maharaj is telling it comes in a harmless way, nice ways, and then gradually we become accustomed to this cheating, and then it turns into offenses. So then he quotes Narottam Das Thakur where he says, we should never trust body and mind, otherwise the cheating, otherwise we will be cheating out of habit only. So then we start deceiving ourselves, then Vaishnavas, then spiritual master, then we start committing offenses. So from deceiving, it goes to offenses. So he says how the mind gets burnt because of this deception in the mind. It is always burning. That burning is actually the anxiety it is causing. And in three ways, unless the deception is given up, the soul cannot progress towards Krishna, and deceptive behavior gradually leads to offenses, which steals away our devotional credits, and offenses burn the soul by gradually taking away the desire to serve Krishna. So this is how the burning happens. Then he quotes Jiva Goswami how deception on spiritual path. So that is how we externally show some devotion, like we are going down to Guru, Sadhus, but they internally we want to look good, or we want some facilities or some position. That is the motivation. That means what happens because of deception, we lack faith and respect in spiritual preceptors. So we'll not be able to absorb our mind in the instructions and teachings of our guru, and then slowly we develop faith. We lack faith in them, and then we start watching movies and all. In that way, we cheat ourselves. So this is how then we end up our mind in asat sanga. So then the cycle is like this: deception, then is lack of faith, absorption in external matters, fitful talk, cruelty, and violence. This is further explained. Maharaj elaborates it further. But here he just mentions them. Then the first sign of deception is that we lose respect for our guru. We think, what is so special about him? So that's why it is very important that we should very carefully perform our devotional service. As a result of careless execution of devotional service, then the beads gets reinforced more stronger. So the main quality of it, then we discussed that there are 4 things that are the essential qualities for a devotee. Maharaj is telling: simplicity and being focused, determination, and not dependent on opinion of others. So he says at least 2 we should remember: simplicity and determination, if we cannot remember the 4 things. And then he tells that litmus test for gauging our sincerity to attain Krishna is what? We will be able to respect tadiya, what are connected to Krishna. That's things, places, persons, objects. So if we cannot give respect to tadiya, we don't have a sincere desire to please Krishna. That's what Maharaj is telling. So above all, respect devotees and never talk ill about them. So this point Maharaj tells again and again and again. Respecting devotees. We'll see next 3 also. I observed that more. Then he says how people appear to be serving Krishna while doing, but they do not respect Vaishnavas. So then after that week, Maharajas, we discussed how is offense and cheating, how the cycle gradually progress. So first, hypocrisy generates offenses. How it generates, Maharaj still. So first comes hypocrisy. When we are doing more and more, then it becomes offenses. So 100 offenses, it leads to hypocrisy, and 1000 offenses, ability to perform devotional austerities. So from deceit comes offenses, offenses leads to hypocrisy, like that. And then we will not be able to follow even basic principles, and then we lose our shraddha. In order to give up deceit, we must give up offenses. That's what Maharaj is telling. So then there are 2 main qualities which I told. Out of 4, we should remember 2: simplicity and determination. So simplicity is to protect us against offenses, help us prevent our pure simple faith, and determination is to help overcome all obstacles in devotional service. So Krishna is Parama Satya. So he's supremely pure. So unless we have this simplicity and simple truthfulness, we cannot reach Krishna, because that the relationship cannot be established, because we need to have the quality of Krishna to be with Krishna. So we can achieve Lord only with that simplicity. Now, these offenses, they obstruct our simplicity and our purification. The process of bhakti is very powerful. Even the holy name is the most powerful thing that we got, but we see there is not much progress because of our offenses, because there is bathing happening in the urine of us. We are becoming more dirty. Our heart becomes hard instead of becoming soft. So even after coming bhakti, Maharaj tells that we will be able to enjoy in a more subtler way. So why that, in the next session, next week's slide, I'll tell you. By bathing in nectar of prema of Radha and Krishna, our heart will, instead of get purifying, and it gets purified, and all best qualities should emerge if we bathe in the pure nectar of Radha and Krishna. So then worship of Krishna, this is very important. So what are the 2 qualities which are very important? Shloka says tam sukarajyam rujubir ananya sharanayanipi kritagnya kona seveta duraradya masadubhi. So simple and grateful heart. So this is what is the qualification. And have no other shelter other than Krishna. But the opposite to is what? Duraradya masadubhi. So if we have whose heart are deflected above all with deception, so defiled with deception. So if heart is filled with deception, then we cannot have gratitude, simplicity, and will not be able to exclusively take shelter of Krishna. So this is what Maharaj says. So he's always in the opposite to what is deceit is simple heart. So that's why he's making. So, and now he explains where the mistake starts. Okay, we came to bhakti and everything is set. Now we should go, get set, go. It should happen. But it is not happening because bhakti is a goal in itself, not means to achieve something. So when we come to bhakti, we should understand that what I need is bhakti only. But if we come to bhakti and we have any other goal, then the deceit starts. But when we start using bhakti to get something for ourselves, we deceive Krishna and then we commit offenses. That means we came and we are cheating Krishna because I don't want Krishna. I am coming for bhakti. I want something else. So there it starts. That's why the two fundamental principles which help us to keep our bhakti pure is we should have respect and gratitude, so that we don't use bhakti for something else. So it is easier to practice bhakti when we have these two simple qualities. Otherwise, there will be so many obstacles. Even if we don't have these qualities, we must practice them, and then we should meditate on what we receive to develop gratitude. Now, how we commit offenses? Because the programming of mind is like that only. It's a natural programming of mind. It says, I am superior over others. So in spiritual life, we try to prove our superiority over others, and due course over Guru and then Krishna also. When a person seems to be outwardly worshipping Vaishnavas, the spiritual masters, sadhus, Krishna, but while inside, it's respectful to them, and is what happens. And instead of seeking essential qualities of Vaishnavas, he is trying to find fault. So again, he will repeat this. We'll see in the fourth section, next section also. So Upasaka is anartha that grows along with bhakti. It's like a parasite on a tree. It will dry the tree only. And then the last week we had a discussion how this weed of deceit grow. That is there. Okay, I have it. What can we do? But we should not grow it. So how this grows? So this goes in 4 levels. One is Kutinati, Pratistasha, Jiva Himsa, and Nishiddachar. So these 4 things Maharaj explains here. So first thing, so we have our mind, we have to deal with it. So we have to know how it is going on and what are the problems it will go through. If you know, then only we'll be able to come out of it. So here, Kutinati Maharaj very nicely explains. As a devotee, we get an understanding of what is right and what is wrong when we come to bhakti. And this sometimes can push them to become judgmental and start finding faults with everyone. So what happens when we come to bhakti, we come to know many more things. And then Maharaj says this tendency is polished to perfection. How? Because devotees can better understand our own psychology. Because we understand psychology, because we become more subtler, we can enjoy more nicely. So by knowing psychology, we can easily understand, okay, this is what he is. Then we can see, oh, this person is exhibiting pride, this person is exhibiting lust, this person is exhibiting anger. So we can easily see that, though that's why what happens, then we can easily find faults and judge other person. So this leads to a super judgmental society and push people towards hypocrisy. So then what happens? We start finding faults because I can easily understand, oh, this person is angry now. So that's why we need devotional maturity and do the right thing in a sensitive way so that it leaves a right impact. And having an anartha is not an obstacle. This is what Krishna is telling. So we have this, but Krishna is telling that we should not nurture it. So we should consider a person a sadhu if he is convinced of worshipping only Krishna. So this is the first thing. So from Kutinati, the next stage comes is Pratistasha, the desire to be recognized. So when we find faults and then we start working for recognition. So sometimes people want to imitate. So Pratistasha, there are many ways. So Maharaj gives few examples. Some people they want to imitate Haridas Thakur by chanting more, and some people they are expert in something, but they want people to be praised. And like if they are dressing the deity, they want some appreciation. They are very expert in deity dressing, but if nobody is praising them, then they feel, oh, this society nobody is encouraging me. Or if they do nice preaching, they want many people to admire them and they want many followers. And if they are doing some fastings on Ekadasi, or if they are doing some special activities, they want everybody to know about it. So this is Pratistasha. So even they will call separately and they will tell, okay, what all I did, what austerities I did. So this expecting appreciation after giving lecture and all these things. So next stage is they come to a Pratistasha stage. And more dangerous is next one is Jiva Himsa, this cruelty. So this Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he compares with this Aghasur, because it is a very foul smelling, like a smell of a dead fish. And what did Aghasur do? It devoured all the cowherd boys. Similarly, we devour the devotees because of our cruelty. And devotees shared various ways of how cruelty is exhibited in devotee society. They exploiting devotees in the name of selfless service. So publicly condemning other Vaishnavas and publishing articles uh, demeaning them. So they say we have to fight for purity. That's why we are trying to expose everybody, because they are not pure. I want to expose. I want to keep everything pure. So point out arathas, non-cooperation, spreading false rumors, authoritarian management, backbiting, deriving pleasures when others are put down, and shouting in public, character assassination, insulting in front of others, insensitive to others' struggle, and neglecting devotees, controlling and micromanagement, physical assault, gossiping, and taking sides, criticism, withholding appreciation, not helping them. So many ways. So some people, they say, I want to cut the ego of this person, so I will show you. So this is how people try to do this Jiva Himsa. And then next is Nishiddachar. So once a person start finding fault, then automatically he will degrade. He will degrade for what? He will come to Nishiddachar. A person lose the ability to follow pure behavior. So he himself cannot follow any standards because of this. So a person overcomes his bad habits by long practice. So he could control for long time all his bad habits, but because of his offenses, he loses the ability to and again engages in those bad habits. So then there are examples of a proper disciple. He was in a very high, good standing and a very big devotee. Then after that he left, and again before he was taking LSD, but again he left and he started taking LSD. And he said LSD is like a dust particle at Radharani's lotus feet, and he wanted to train others how to experience Krishna Prema by taking LSD and all. And there are some ashrams where half of the Bhagavatam class goes in explaining how there are fault and there is fault in others, and nobody can give shelter, only we can give pure shelter of Prabhupada. And then most of the people, they end up with diseases, their health is always bad, or some nishiddachar like drinking vodka, like these things happens. So all this starts with fault finding. When we focus on fault in others, so we must be careful with putinati, and we should be fault finding. And then Jiva Goswami analyzes and explains the consequences of aparadh. He says, Putinati, from that ashraddha, faithlessness comes, and focus on things that destroy the faith on Krishna. So that means that things that destroy faith on Krishna are non-devotional pramanas, mayavada, satsanga, seeing devotees falling down, prajalpa, thinking guru to be ordinary person, such things. And then bhakti Sithilyam, bhakti becomes weak, and then that turns into pride for attachment. Whatever I have achieved in achievements in bhakti, so they start depending on them. That means they become proud for them, and then they come. There is a competing mood with Vaishnavas rather than cooperating, and then they lose respect. And what happens is, instead of, when we come to bhakti, heart should become soft, but it becomes more and more hard. So it becomes a materialistic heart. So now Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, why a person does not get spiritually attached and instead the uncontrolled senses lead to hell. So he should become advanced. So why it is happening? Punah punah charvita charunanam. He's chewing the chewed again. So he says we have certain subtle concept or ego which we have given up, which we have not given up even after taking a path of bhakti. So because we could not give up our ego after taking bhakti, that's why we are doing punah punah charvita charunanam. So then he gives the final solution is, this is the solution. One must surrender with complete humility. Trinadapi samichena taroriva sahishnamani namani namanadena kirtaniya sad. So this is the only way we can come out of all these problems. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives very nice, simple solution. Hare Krishna.
Wow, thank you, Pro. This was one of your best recaps. Very nice, really wonderful. Thank you very much. So, I mean, this was so enlightening at the same time. In one sense, little scary because many times we are not very careful about how we behave with people. Some small things like fault finding, we take it so cheaply, um, and it's so scary what it eventually leads to actually. uh, So it leads to Kutinati, and Kutinati is fault finding. It eventually leads to mm, Pratistasha, a desire for fame, wanting everyone to notice what I am doing, how great things I'm doing. And then naturally it leads to Jiva Himsa, and then eventually it leads to Nishiddhachar. Well, I mean, this is very, in one sense, very eye-opening, but at the same time, uh, you know, it might sometimes be, oh, I'm so, sometimes, you see that, oh my God, I can see it playing out in my own life. You know, I'm able to see these things in my own life, and it's, it just pulls the rug from below your feet, actually. What's happening to my spiritual life, right? So, but uh, the good thing is that it is never too late. It is never too late. Hmm. Accept that yes, I have slipped off, and we have to accept that yes, I have slipped off, and Krishna wants me back. Krishna is rooting for me. Krishna is rooting for me to mend my ways. Krishna deeply wants that I rectify my mistakes and come back on track, and Krishna will gladly accept it. But just that we should be willing to mend our ways. We just can't just many times, I have observed myself, I have observed devotees also. I mean, why talk about others? You know, I can say about myself. Many times we go in the ostrich mode, right? I mean, you all know this, right? An ostrich is actually a quite a fast runner. So sometimes when a faster runner like a cheetah or something is chasing after after an ostrich, the ostrich tries its best to protect itself. But then after some time, when it realizes that I don't can't match up with the speed, it just digs some a small hole and buries its head in the hole so that it cannot see who is coming behind. So because it cannot see a cheetah chasing, so it blissfully assumes that it is not there. Uh, this is the saddest thing that we can do to our own spiritual life. But many times we end up doing this because who wants to be guilty? Because guilt is another big problem actually. How is it? Because it's very difficult to practice devotional service while being very guilty. So uh, so in order to overcome guilt, we take up, or at least many of us, or I can say for myself, many times I may tend to um, mm, act like an ostrich. Like, yes, I mean, it's, I don't know, what exactly I'm, it may not be because of my fault finding. Uh, See, it could be anything, right? The kind of anarthas, it is not a serious anartha or whatever it is. There are many different ways in which we may try to play the role of an ostrich, try to neglect it. It's not there. Hmm? Um, think that it is not there, think that it is not there, or it is not that serious, or it will just go away just like that. See, today it is there, tomorrow it will go away all by its own, you know. But uh, but when we actually come and confront what is exactly happening to our spiritual life, when our spiritual life is bisected and trisected and tetrasected and pentasected by the acharyas like this, and then you feel that your heart stinking, as sinking into your stomach, literally, my God, this is just exactly what's happening to my spiritual life. But at least at this stage, if we can do something good for our soul, that is, stop being the ostrich, because the cheetah is never that close, uh, that death is sure. We can always catch hold of the feet of Krishna and say, Krishna, please, I want to rectify from here. And Krishna immediately pulls us up. Hmm? Uh, so, so that is something that we need to accept. That's why the whole section has come to a grand finale. The ultimate solution for the whole thing is actually humility. So humility is the solution. You know, just fall at the feet of Krishna and say, Krishna, I have gone too deep into this quicksand and I am very quickly getting pulled down. I'm going to die. Please help me. I don't want to live a life like this. I want to rectify it now. You know, please give me the strength. I've become so habituated to finding faults, which has made me craving for name, fame, glorification, and to the extent that I have caused violence to people, and my behavior in public and private has degraded to such an extent that this does not befit a devotee. So I have gotten into this quicksand. Help me out. Uh, So 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 this is so beautifully described, but we can't just say that, oh, assume that it's not there, assume that it's not there. It may not be necessarily, it's not that you are just noticing the fault, everyone is noticing the fault, so it's okay. Many times we feel that if I notice a fault in one person, if 3 or 4 more people notice the same fault, I feel that I am in safe zone. This is actually, this is one kind of ostrich mentality. Oh, it's not there, it's not there, so many people are seeing the same fault. So actually the fault is not in my vision, the fault is actually there. So the the point is whether the fault is actually there or there in my vision. But if I see it and if I talk about it, then then that's eventually going to lead to this whole cycle of Kutinati, Pratisthasha, uh, Jiva Himsa, and Nishiddachar. So, so in one sense, it's scary, but uh, it is in Krishna consciousness. The good thing is that it is never too late to turn back and say, Krishna, I wish to rectify now. But uh, uh, so therefore, we need not so therefore, just to get rid of guilt, we should not want to get rid of guilt the ostrich way, because ultimately no one wants to practice Krishna consciousness with a guilty heart, feeling guilty. No one likes guilt. Guilt can be such a debilitating emotion. It can debilitate one's practice of devotional service to such a serious degree, actually. But many times we succumb to escaping this guilt in a way which is very inappropriate, actually. And this becomes very problematic. And and if proper guide is not there, and we keep on trying to rectify, overcome our guilt through inappropriate ways, then it becomes very difficult to rectify our situation. But our diagnosis is right. I can't practice bhakti with guilt. So, like the other day we were discussing, sometimes we try to overcome guilt that I am not able to follow the standards by philosophizing, right? By creating a whole philosophy out of it. It's actually all right. You know what? It's actually all right. Um, During Bhakti Vinod Thakur's time and Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur's time, there were no chocolates and all that. You know what? So this is just a whole different new thing. Chocolates are very new, and no one gets addicted to chocolates. You think people don't get addicted to eating sweets? People get addicted to eating gulab jamun and rasgulla also. So why should we just not eat chocolates? So this is like a whole way of philosophizing mm, our own shortcomings in order to overcome guilt. So these are like many ways of inappropriate ways of overcoming guilt, because no one likes to practice devotional service with the huge burden of guilt. But there are right ways of overcoming it, and that overcoming and the right way is humility. Fall at the feet of Krishna. Krishna is willing to rectify your mistakes. Fall at the feet of Krishna and say, Krishna, get me out of this quicksand. I'm ready. Please help me out. And Krishna will help. And we can actually come out of it. But it needs um, a strong heart, and it needs good association of devotees who can help us. And and we need to have a very solid, loving, trustworthy relationship with devotees to whom we can open up and actually share our struggles, actually. And when we do that, and when the other person is also very understanding and non-judgmental, who has assimilated the Siddhanta and its application very nicely, then it is possible for us to actually uh, um, to overcome this, get out of this quicksand, and actually march ahead in Krishna consciousness. So this is beautiful. I really like today's recap by Radha Pramod Prabhu. Very beautiful slides. And okay, anyway, so we have a few slides left. I hope we can complete it today. So the last theme that Maharaj speaks about is humility and our relationship with Guru, how it is very critical to actually overcome these subtle anarthas. And then finally, Urmila Mataji writes a short commentary summarizing the whole thing. It's not very long. I think we can complete it today. But before we start with the last section of His Holiness Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj and humility and our relationship with Guru, if there are any quick discussion points, comments, questions, anything anyone would like to share or add, You can please go ahead. There is one thing in the chat box. From verse 4, we go through grosser anarthas to subtler anarthas. These obstacles comes in chronology as we advance through the stages, or all these anarthas occur during anartha. Is there a chronology to it? No, but there is a chronology to our observing it, our ability to observe, right? Like for example, when you enter a room, you know, let's say uh, if you it is marathon time, okay, and you have been using one room of your house exclusively for storing book boxes, Prabhupada books boxes. So now one day you decide to clean the room after the marathon. So you open the door and someone asks you, what do you see? And you will see, I see nothing else other than book boxes. There is only book boxes there. He said, okay, then let's remove the books boxes. Then you remove all the book boxes. Then you say, what do you see? Then you see, oh, I see so many other papers and some articles and other things which we were not noticing because they were too subtle to notice in front of the huge boxes. And once you remove them, and then you ask, what do you see? Oh, there is a lot of fine dust which needs to be swept and cleaned. So now it's do they affect sadhaka in chronology? No, but the sadhaka develops the ability to observe that anartha in him in chronological order based on how much the grosser anarthas are cleansed. So when the grosser anarthas are cleansed, even though the subtler anarthas were affecting us, but only when the grosser anarthas start leaving to some extent, we will develop an ability to observe the subtler anarthas like that. Is that okay, Mataji? I mean, Mataji or Prabhuji, I don't know. Vivo V9. Okay. Anything else anyone would like to share, add? You can please raise your hands or type it in the chat box, whatever you're comfortable with. Anything else on this theme? Okay. So if there is nothing, then I think we will continue our discussion on this last theme by His Holiness Bhakti Vigyan Gosai Maharaj, which is on the topic of humility and our relationship with Guru. Okay. Okay. So here Maharaj writes, we need one single attribute, complete absolute humility. Actually, sometimes we say, or in the outside world, uh, um, humility, people say humility is weak-heartedness. Actually, it's the other way around. Humility indicates a very healthy heart. But there could be weak-heartedness also, which may look like humility from an external point of view. But true humility can be born out of a very healthy, well-nourished heart, which has been nourished with proper spiritual nourishment. Only such a heart can actually exhibit true humility. So many times, even though we may not have humility, I mean, you must have had many experiences in your own lives that you just wish like smashing the other person, but then you literally fall at his feet, and somehow what comes to your head you don't know. Instead of shouting and creating an issue, You just humbly apologize, and literally the whole thing gets solved in a minute. Otherwise, what was dragging on for years together gets resolved in a minute. So this is very important actually, but many times because we lack sufficient spiritual nourishment, even though we may know the ability to, when we become very weak hearted, that's when we cannot exhibit this humility. Otherwise, when the heart is properly nourished, to exhibit humility becomes one's second nature actually. Humility becomes a very uh, natural quality that one is able to exhibit. So, oh, this is beautiful. Maharaj is talking about the same thing that we have discussed till now. In this humility, I must fold my palms and say, yes, I am fallen, but I don't want to be like this anymore. Please help me. This attitude constitutes honesty to ourselves. This complete humility begins with my surrendering this most subtle concept of my false ego to my guru. So, this humility begins with surrendering this most subtle concept of my false ego. It's not just the mind or the intelligence or the senses, but my false ego. Surrendering it and tell Krishna, my dear Guru, please. Shishyasteham shadiman tom prapannam, like that. So Krishna explains this in Bhagavad Gita. What does this surrender to Guru means? Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So pranipata means humility. Pariprashna means in genuine inquiry into the appropriate subject matter. And sevaya means service. In our relationship with Guru, we must practice humility of body, mind, and speech. Guru will give us sambandha or a connection with Krishna. Through the connection with the spiritual master, I will become aware of my connection with Krishna. So, through the connection with the spiritual master, I will become aware of my connection with Krishna. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado, yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. When I have a relationship with Krishna, I will develop interest in everything related to Krishna. Gurau goshte goshtalayishu sujane bhusuragane swamantre shri namni vrajanava yuvadvandva sharane. Like that. We must actually understand what the Guru likes and does not like and act for the Guru and not for oneself. Guror hitam. Brahmachari Gurukule Vasantanto Guror hitam. So, the humility that appears in the mind is when a person does not act out of self-interest, but rather wants to serve and do what the other person wants us to do. So true humility cannot arise from a heart which is self-absorbed, which is constantly meditating on self-interest. True humility cannot come. So that is why pranipata and sevaya can go together. Otherwise, it cannot go together. So, sevaya means you want to serve the other person. So, in such a person, you can have pranipata, humility. Right? With no actual relationship with the spirit master, this attitude is practically impossible because we will still continue in our in one way or another to retain our subtle pride. This is a very powerful point actually. What Maharaj is telling is true humility is not possible without a relationship with guru or a guru figure, because someone may say I have not yet been initiated yet, or even those initiated may say I don't have a relationship with my guru has never spoken with me. But it could be at multiple levels. Of course, what constitutes a relationship with guru is a whole different topic to discuss, and that's a whole different discussion. We will not do it here, but the point is that uh, 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 because the point is that why is it, why is true humility not possible without a relationship with guru? Because true humility is born out of a desire to serve, right? Because true humility is born out of a desire to serve others, not serve one's interest. So when we accept a relationship with the guru as a guru and disciple, then that relationship is that of dasya, and that true mode of dasya brings true humility. So sooner or later, it will grow more and more. The subtle will then become gross. Bhakti means to find this problem in ourselves and start dealing with it. Uh, So bhakti means to find this problem. Which problem? Can you let me hear your answers in the chat box? Bhakti means to find this problem in ourselves and start dealing with it. Which problem is he talking about? Okay, someone says subtle pride. Okay, let's see. Just think about it. The screen is in front of you. You can read and answer also. But think and give me an answer. Which problem is he talking about? Someone says lack of humility. Someone says being self-centered and self-absorbed. Someone says false ego. Someone says service. Someone says no actual relationship with spiritual master. This is the real problem, right? This is the problem, right? That the real problem is, do I feel connected with my guru, or uh, uh, do I feel like I'm subservient to my guru, right? When this mood is not there, it need not be with a Diksha Guru. It could, because not everyone may feel that action. Uh, it could even be with a Guru figure in our life also. It could be a senior devotee also. It could be our Path Pradarshak Guru also. It could be someone who is seriously helping me in my spiritual life. But when we realize that actual relationship with the spiritual master, uh, then we start experiencing uh, humility, and we can overcome the subtle pride. Therefore, sadhana bhakti starts with Guru Padashraya Tasmat. We must go to the spiritual master and take shelter of his lotus feet. We must give up everything else. Guru Padashraya Tasmat. After that comes Krishna Diksha Sikshanam. We must take Diksha. Okay. And people think that they have received Diksha and now they are free to go. I've been given a name, beads, and that's it. But after Diksha, we must receive Siksha also. Right? In today's day and age, no one can say that I have not received any Siksha. ISKCON Desire Tree is an ocean. Any spiritual master you want, there is unlimited Siksha available. Right? So therefore, definitely, so much Siksha is there. And if we want personal time, that is also possible from some of the senior disciples, from some of the senior devotees with whom we might feel comfortable. So he says Diksha was given to young boys who started studying the scriptures. Diksha is the first step. Shiksha means I try to do what we are told. We try to serve not ourselves, but what we are told by the spiritual master. As a result, humility appears. Humility allows us to attain sambandha or a relationship with Krishna through our relationship with the spiritual master, because it is the spiritual master alone who gives this connection. So it's a non-negotiable thing. A relationship with spiritual master is non-negotiable in one's spiritual life. Again, this might demotivate. This statement might be very demotivating to devotees. That we may think that, oh, I have hardly had any association with my guru. But uh, but most of the uh, disciples of Prabhupada who are, who are the flag bearers of ISKCON in today's day and age, after decades of Srila Prabhupada's passing, uh, they have hardly had any personal association with Srila Prabhupada. They have hardly had any personal instructions given to them by Srila Prabhupada. They have hardly spoken with Prabhupada personally. So therefore, they have very deeply internalized his teachings, which are available in written form and in audio form. So therefore, we cannot have a very superficial understanding of what constitutes a relationship with a spiritual master. Actually, I see a hand is up, but I will just see if I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, just 5 more slides. Those of you who are having questions, keep noting it down. As soon as we complete these 5 slides, we will definitely open it up for a little more discussion. Without connection, there is nothing. The meaning of our relationship with Guru is not to make yet another cult of personality. This is very important, actually, especially in an ISKCON setup. An ISKCON setup, as Prabhupada envisioned, as Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur envisioned, the way they implemented and the way they envisioned, it was envisioned to be a multi-guru society. not multi-guru, multi-societies, but multi-guru, one society, right? So in a multi-guru, one society, one thing that you can't afford to do is to have a personality cult, Amar Guru, Jagat Guru. My Guru is Jagat Guru, and rest are all I don't know what. You know, Many times we may not speak like that, but that attitude is a very uh, dangerous attitude, and generally that is the biggest disservice to Guru, because I don't think any bona fide Guru would want any of their disciples to think like that. In fact, a true Guru would correct his disciple who is thinking along those lines. And if the and worst case, he may disown that disciple also, because that is the biggest disservice to ISKCON, where we feel that my guru is the greatest. And especially in a multi-guru setup, we need to also learn the etiquette of dealing with um, mm, uh, talking etiquettes, behaving etiquettes in a place, where you are in an exclusive place where you are only with your god brothers and god sisters, how you behave. But when where you are in a place where you're uh, in a multi-guru setup, how do you behave? It's absolutely critical for uh, for for people in ISKCON, for devotees in ISKCON to learn this art. Actually, this is very important. One of the things is that you are in the association of uh, another devotee who has a different guru. You know, I mean, ideally, one should not talk about my guru said, my guru said, my guru said. Okay, and if the other person says, then the person who is hearing, he should take it as, wow, such a he has such love for his guru. That's how we should see, ideally. But when we um, speak to them, we should never keep quoting our own guru, because it would become like the ninth offense, right? Because the kind of surrender that we have for our guru, it is unnatural to expect that people who have different gurus will have the same kind of surrender to the words of my guru, right? So then it becomes like the ninth offense to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. So you have um, um, you have one guru, the other person has another guru, and you say that, what, this should be done like this. He says, who says so? My guru says. I mean, for you, your guru's statement is absolute, but you cannot expect someone who has a different guru to accept that statement as absolute. But if you push, then what happens? Then it becomes ninth offense to instruct a faithless person. So is it that he is faithless? He has no faith in your guru? No. But you are expecting him to have the same faith that you have for your guru, that he should also have for your guru. That is an unreasonable expectation. And just to be polite, he may say, okay, but inside he will not like it, right? So therefore, this uh, personality cult thing is very important. Actually, ideally, um, you know if you come in touch with another disciple of another guru, the best thing to do in an ISKCON setup is to glorify that devotee's guru. So that way you can earn um, a place in that person's heart, and you make that person's heart very soft. Mm. And then the relationship becomes so pleasant, actually. So Srila Prabhupada warned us, and in fact, if you see in ISKCON, this is more or less, you know, ISKCON is surviving because of this. People are quite mature in one sense. They don't, you know, they don't quote their guru to beat other people up, right? So this is very, very good, and this should continue actually. And this mood should be watered so that in the long run, uh, pleasant relationships can be maintained even in multi-guru setups. This is very, very important actually. Srila Prabhupada warned us against this in a letter to Govinda Das. In her letter, Govinda Dasi had written to Srila Prabhupada saying how she loved him. Srila Prabhupada replied, I liked very much those beautiful feelings you have described in your letter. Huh? However, you should never forget that all our activities are carried out in accordance with the parampara originating from Lord Krishna. Therefore, your love must be directed not so much towards the physical manifestation of the Guru, but towards the spiritual message he carries. By lovingly serving the teachings of our Guru, we prove our love for his physical manifestation. So, this is the most important point, right? By lovingly serving the teachings of our Guru, we prove our love for his physical manifestation. Srila Prabhupada said we must be devoted not to the cult of personality, but devoted to what he teaches and surrender to what he teaches. Even though it is natural that the initial attraction to the philosophy may come through the attraction to the personality, but once we come to know of the um, uh, that how everything should be based on Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Once we understand that philosophy, then we should no longer, think in terms of, whatever the person says, it does not really matter. Not like that. No, it does not really matter only, correct? But as long as it uh, concurs with the teachings of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, right? Otherwise, even Prabhupada's statements, Prabhupada only introduced us to the Shastras. Prabhupada only introduced us to the Guru Parampara. But having said that, our initial attraction to Prabhupada may be directly to Prabhupada, but subsequently, our deep-rooted attraction for Prabhupada should be based on his own chastity to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. It cannot be independent of that. So then it is cult. So, like you say that, okay, the Shastras say this. Now, so if someone says, oh, it doesn't really matter what the Shastras say, but my Guru says this. Well, that is very good, but it also behooves that the disciple should try to understand how what my Guru says is in line with Shastras. But if he says it does not really matter, for me, what is whole and soul is what my Guru says, then that seems like very strong, deep-rooted Guru Nishta, but it may not necessarily be. It may not necessarily be Guru Nishta, it may actually be cult consciousness actually. Because our trust in our Guru is because we have full trust in his sticking to the teachings of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So if someone challenges that, then it is our responsibility as disciples to show that yes, what my Guru says, you see, this is in line with the teachings of the Shastras, rather than telling it does not really matter. Uh, all that matters to me is my Guru told. And that is very good. But isn't it as a disciple your responsibility to show your guru in good light that he is actually following Guru Sadhu and Shastra? So that is very important actually. So we must overcome this most subtle obstacle that envelops our soul, because if we do not remove it, ultimately it will prevent us from truly hearing about Radha and Krishna. If we attain this sambandha or humility, if we attain love for Krishna, then everything else will come to us. Raghunath Das Goswami is teaching us here to very honestly and frankly see the deceit in ourselves. We must take devotional service very seriously. It is never too late to start. Krishna is infinitely merciful and can give us complete happiness. You see, same point as mentioning the same thing. It is never too late to start. You know, for an ostrich, it can be too late. There is nothing that he can do. He cannot save himself. The only thing that he can do is to bury his head in the sand and pretend to not see the cheetah, which is breathing on his back. But for us, our situation is not like that ostrich. Uh, uh, Krishna is always behind the cheetah of time. The moment we surrender, immediately Krishna can get on back of that cheetah and stop that cheetah of time from devouring us. So therefore, we don't have to uh, uh, necessarily become an ostrich. Therefore, in our bhajan, we must show two qualities: honesty or sincerity or frankness. The second is determination to go to the end by any means. Right? Again, two things: simplicity and determination. Okay. If we have these two qualities, we will certainly be successful on this wonderful path of bhakti. If we have simplicity, then uh, we will not succumb to, then we are not prone to succumbing to hypocrisy and kutinati and all that. And if we have determination, then we can continue not succumbing to these uh, these things. Wow, this was such an amazing commentary. It took us so many weeks and hours of discussion, such deep discussion. I think it's really worth it if we can meditate and follow even a little bit of it. I think we are doing ourselves great service. We are really watering the seed of our devotional service in a very powerful way. So we should be grateful to these great acharyas, Vartamana acharyas, also Srila Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj, for writing so powerful. Okay, so that brings us to the end of his commentary, and we still have another 50 minutes, and it will take me another maybe maximum half an hour to complete maybe Urmila Mataji's commentary. It's a very short commentary only. So we still have about 15-20 minutes for some discussions. If there is anything, you can please raise your hands. Krishna Rupa Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. Prabhuji, I was actually thinking on the same lines that even Krishna in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, from shloka number 8 to 12, he also actually first puts amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, shante, arjavam.
Yeah.
All these qualities, he's also demanding these qualities from us, Prabhuji, isn't it, Prabhuji?
Well, he
I'm just
is
trying to connect actually, the commentary that is being given, and even so, if it is the demand for the spiritual master, but this actually request is coming from even Krishna's side.
yeah, true. It is a demand, but we should also know how we can cultivate it sustainably. The way of cultivating it sustainably is to take our devotional service seriously. That is the way of cultivating it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mother. Anything else anyone would like to share, add? It's a very nice section that we have discussed. Okay, there is something in the chat box. Okay. Which publication are we following? This is uh, anyone remembers who is the publisher of this book? Is it It's not Mandala, right? Torchlight publication, I think. Right. This is a multiple Acharya's commentary, starting with Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary, and then there is Jayadvait Swami Maharaj, Shivram Swami Maharaj, Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj, Sachinandan Swami Maharaj, yeah, Torchlight publication, and Urmila Mataji. All these golden age media. Sorry, golden age media. Correct. Yeah, it's golden age media, and the book is available. Is that an information or is that a question? Samsung Galaxy is writing book is available in IDT website. Wow, this is amazing. Are you sure that this book is available in IDT website? I mean, Manah Siksha may be there, but it may be just Bhaktivinoda Thakur's, um, Bhajan Darpan commentary. That's all. But I don't think this book will be there in ISKCON Desiratory website. I seriously doubt it, because I think that would be some copyright issues. Yeah. So this book is available online. You can, someone who has the, you can go to, you can go online and check. This is Golden Age Media, uh, Manah Siksha with multiple Acharyas commentaries. Very useful book. If you like it, you can purchase it for sure. For the few who cannot purchase, you know uh, the 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 PowerPoint has practically everything. You can use it also. That's not a problem. Anyway, so if there are no further discussion points or questions, then I think we will move to the commentary by Urmila Mataji, and then if we complete it fast, then you can take an early break also. Okay. So Urmila ji writes, this will be ma generally Bhakti Vigyan, Urmila Mataji's commentary is quite good to read after Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj's commentary, because Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj's commentary is so elaborate. He goes into detail of every single thing that at the end of this whole description, you sort of really have to spend some time putting all of that together and get a comprehensive understanding, and more or less Urmila Mataji gives a very concise summary of the whole verse, so it becomes easy for us to summarize the whole thing at the end of such an elaborate commentary by His Holiness Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj. So Mataji writes, the devotee on the path of spontaneous devotion for Krishna in Vrindavan has by verse 6 relinquished the gross hypocrisy of secretly engaging in wicked deeds as a slave to lust, envy, and so forth. So one may have overcome the gross tendencies of lust, anger, envy, greed, illusion, and pride. However, the inclination for deceit and hypocrisy may still remain. In verse 5, the evil enemies were blatant robbers along the side of the road with nooses. If you remember verse 5, they were compared to uh, mm, uh, Vikata Pashalibiriha Prakamam Kamadi Prakata Patipati Vyatikaraihi. They are like highway robbers with nooses on their hands. But here in verse 6, the problem is harder for the practitioner to discern. Devotees at this stage have received the jewel of Radha Krishna's love. To hold such a jewel, to be the setting for such a jewel, one should be clean and polished, right? Because you can't see such a jewel in a very dirty background. Thinking like this, the fortunate devotee seeks to bathe and become clean. Okay. So he wants to become clean. The devotee on the shining path of bhakti will see two possible sources for this bath. There are two ways in which you can take bath. One is an ocean of pure delight coming from the feet of Gandharvika Giridhari. The ending Ika indicates affection, and Gandharva is a name of Krishna's internal energy, meaning a woman who sings with great artistic skill. And Giridhari is the name of Krishna who lifted the Govardhan hill. So Gandharva is a sweet singer. Gandharvika is a sweet singer with whom Krishna has a very affectionate relationship, that is Srimati Radharani. This first bearing choice for the holder of the jewel of divine love will fully wash away the tendency for deceit and hypocrisy, which has attracted lust and so forth. So if we take bath in the divine love of Radha and Krishna, then it will wash away the tendency for deceit and hypocrisy. The second source for this bath is a trickle of liquid that offer only an appearance of cleanliness. Those who have become free from the obvious cheating of wicked deeds may hesitate to become thoroughly honest. We may have more or less overcome gross lust, anger, etc. But then whatever little might be there, we might want to hide it from us, right? And we may hesitate to become thoroughly honest. If a person's answer to the question, am I willing to face the full truth about the state of my heart and motives, is no. Are you ready to really understand what is the situation of your heart? If the answer for this question is no, then cheating and hypocrisy manifest in that person as activities that appear to be bhakti but are not, just as the trickle of liquid appears to clean but is something else entirely. It burns us. It burns because it comes not from divine lotus feet, but is the urine from a very large donkey. We know we are bathing in donkey urine when others' greatness creates a burning sensation within us. Envy. The jewel we received becomes covered in this donkey urine and cannot show its brilliance. Even though Krishna Prem is there within our heart, but it cannot show its brilliance because of, it is covered with this donkey's urine of hypocrisy, deceit, and pretense. When we read through Bhaktivinod's list of the ways three categories of sadhakas can be deceitful at this level of progress in bhakti, we find a common thread. They are all activities that often appear like bhakti while being something else. We saw in detail about the Sanishta, Parinishtita, and Nirapeksha devotees, how these things manifest. Seka jala pasha upashaka badiyai. Stabda hasha mula shaka badite nappai. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila says. There are weeds that grow near the bhakti creeper and may look like bhakti to the undiscerning person, just as donkey urine may appear to be a welcome shower from a distance, of course. If we water the weeds instead of the creeper, we simply burn inside and outside rather than being refreshed. How unfortunate. And then Mataji has written a very beautiful poem to describe this. Oh, it's actually long. Okay. So let's read the poem. The jewel on the altar is a garbage heap, smelling and filthy symptom of deep attachment to Maya in grip of her modes. All is just rotten, a large heavy load. The jewel on the altar is a garbage heap. It's actually a garbage heap, right? But it has been so nicely decorated and kept. Smelling and filthy, symptom of deep attachment to Maya in the grip of her modes. All is just rotten, a large heavy load. Even though it may be, wrapped in very beautiful uh, sheets, those packing sheets, but all that is inside is, filth. Somehow we use this trash to act for you, but it remains garbage through and through. Hmm? It's mercy to know it, but please purify. Can't do it alone, though with strength we do try. Oh, beautiful. This is such an amazing paragraph, right? So she says that uh, uh, somehow we use this trash to act for you. We use this trash to act for you. But even though we may try to act for Krishna by using this trash, but it remains garbage through and through. Uh, we may cover up our many different problems in the name of preaching and all that, but it will remain garbage only. It's mercy to know it. It's very good if you realize that it is garbage, but please purify. Can't do it alone, though with strength we do try. I can't do it alone. We need help. All and everything we offer so sweet, thinking it's love that we bring to your feet. Oh, we discover with shocking great pain, the pattern on cloth was simply a stain. Oh, this is amazing, right? Wow, this is so beautifully written. This is such a wonderful summary. All and everything we offer so sweet, thinking it's love that we bring to your feet. I am thinking that this is love that I am bringing to your feet. Oh, we discover with shocking great pain, the pattern on cloth was simply a stain. What I thought was actually a very beautiful uh, pattern, a design on my cloth. When I came close, I realized that it was actually coffee stain or something like that. Right from a distance, looked so like a very nice thing, So this is actually identifying the weeds as the real creeper and trying to water them. So one possible consequence of cheating disguised as bhakti is that eventually inner hypocrisy may become strong enough to again attract the thieves of lust and its friends. So this is the problem. So we overcome the grosser anarthas and come to deal with the subtler anarthas. But if we don't deal with the subtle anarthas because they remain subtle and not known outside, then he says that the problem with that is that the subtler anarthas may attract the gross anarthas actually. Gradually, the person will again take up hearing and talking about material enjoyment and liberation. Spiritual progress then stops. We may get a sense of how this may be from Srimad Bhagavatam 4.8.2 to 4. Okay, this is lineage of Adharma, right? Another son of Lord Brahma was irreligion, whose wife's name was falsity. From their combination were born two demons named Damba or bluffing and Maya or cheating. These two demons were taken by a demon called Nirriti, who had no children. Maitreya told Vidura, O great soul, from Damba and Maya were born greed and Nikriti or cunningness. Cunning. From their combination came children named Krodha and Himsa, anger and envy. And from their combination were born Kali and his sister Durukti, harsh speech. O greatest of all good men, by the combination of Kali and harsh speech were born children named Mrityu, death, and Bhiti, fear. From the combination of Mrityu and Bhiti came children named Yatana, excessive pain, and Niraya, hell. Which is basically how this actually leads to, uh, you know, eventually, so many such unfavorable, qualities like that. So then he says another consequence is that the practitioner stops feeling the sweetness of devotional service. The first thing is it starts attracting the other grosser anarthas which we had actually given up, at least to some extent. It starts attracting them back. Then we stop feeling the sweetness of devotional service. And what used to be blissful has been replaced with burning. Such persons refusing to face their inner deceit may blame others for their lack of ecstasy. They then believe their service is fault finding and criticism. Then they take to full-fledged piece of fault finding and criticism because they are not experiencing the inner bliss of a deceit-free heart. So then the whole cycle starts. Others lose faith in the process entirely, yet may cynically continue with the externals in exchange for a life where they get some respect and material facility for being a so-called religious person. How people in this predicament can move out of the donkey urine and into the delightful ocean of love starts again, unsurprisingly, with freedom from pride. That was the very first book, Manah Siksha. Sada dambam hitva kuru ratim apurvam aditaram. It takes great humility to admit that one has been of one's own free will bathing in the donkey urine in the name of spiritual life. So this is the starting point. Just accept that I have been actually bathing in the donkey urine in the name of spiritual progress. So this is the first step. It takes great humility to fall at anyone's feet, even the feet of God himself. Bhaktivinoda gives us some specific guidance as to what it means to bathe in the delightful ocean of love at the feet of the divine couple. He tells us to meditate on their names, forms, qualities, and eternal pastimes in the 8 parts of the day, Ashtakaliya Lila. He warns us that we have to be vigilant at this stage as the root of hypocrisy still remains and can grow back again anytime. in the next verse, we learn how that root can be eliminated completely and permanently. How is it possible? You have to wait till we start the next next week. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the 6th verse of Manah Siksha. I think probably we have taken the longest to. This is the longest that we have taken to cover one verse. I think, almost like, I think today is probably the 67th or 68th session, I think. And probably we have taken more than 15 sessions to cover this one verse, but it has been very, very powerful, heavy. Okay, any quick discussion points, comments? Okay, Advaita Murthy.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Prabhu.
So, Prabhuji, for this hypocrisy, can we say that the root cause is actually our inability to distinguish between the false ego and our real self, as a servant of the Lord? And
yeah,
I mean, it's the false ego which is the root cause of this hypocrisy. We are maintaining our false ego, basically.
yeah. True. Very much true. That's one of the causes of hypocrisy. Yeah, that point was, we read that point also. Mahid also mentioned about it in one of his points. Yeah, he did say that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else anyone would like to share, add before we wind up for the day? Okay, so if there is nothing else, then I think we will pause here. Okay, there is, okay, very important point, please here. Tomorrow there is a change of schedule. See, tomorrow, one thing is my health is recovering. And also we have again the last stage of our, there is, as I told, there is a major repair, electrical repair that's going on in our this thing. They are totally overhauling the existing thing and replacing it completely with something new for the whole apartment. So tomorrow there will be some power shortage also. So during the day we will not have uh, mm, our Bhakti Sandarbha and Brihad Bhagavatamrita discussion. That will give me some time to recover also. And but in the evening we will have Bhaktya Loka. Tomorrow is Wednesday, but there is a change. We will not have Bhaktya Loka from 7 to 9, but tomorrow being a holiday, and because there are other important programs also, so many devotees have requested me to adjust the timing. So the timing will be 5 to 7 instead of 7 to 9. So please note down, tomorrow being um, Republic Day, it's going to be national holiday. So hopefully none of you are working. So I probably you'll be able to take your time out and join. We will have our Bhaktya Loka from 5 to 7 and not at our regular time of 7 to 9. So this is just for tomorrow and it's not a permanent thing. And apart from that, we will just have our morning japa session, which is pretty good. Devotees who have not been attending, please try to join. It's the same meet Zoom ID and password. Many devotees join, and it's for those of you who are not living close to a temple, and if you wish to chant in association, this is a very good opportunity. Morning 5 to 7, and generally, even if you join late, it's perfectly fine. You can, generally the japa session can go until 8 o'clock also. Anytime between 5 to 8, you can join and leave. It's up to you. Even if I leave, I may have to leave in between. I'll make someone else the host, and still you can um, you can continue. So please join. Yeah, it's the same Zoom ID for chanting. I mean, for those of you who are not in that BSD Bhakti Courses Info group, and if you wish to be a part, you get the reminders and everything on a regular basis. You can write to me. I will add your name to that group also. Okay. Right. Any further questions also we will take next week, because I will also get an opportunity to rest little early today. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami Pad ki jai. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Shri Manah Siksha ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.